This is my audience. Thank you. After what seemed like a never-ending bus ride, we finally arrived in Kelly. This was one of my favorite meets of the season. I had a fire in my belly and I was ready to do some damage. Surprisingly, I wasn't nervous. I was more excited than anything. Every year at the Kelly meet, our team always came back with some hardware. Although after such a long bus ride, I felt half asleep and groggy. After I got off the bus, the team claimed a space under a pavilion-covered sidewalk to put all our bags and equipment. I set my stuff down, grabbed my track spikes, and went to the field to warm up in the hopes of waking myself up and getting my head in the right place. The wind was terrible that day. My hair was in a ponytail, and the little flyaways around my face literally seemed like they were flying away. One minute, a piece of hair was in my mouth, and the next in my eye. Hurtling against the wind was always a challenge, so I had to prepare myself for what was yet to come. This is it. This is what I had been training for. I was finally at the starting line getting in position for the 100-meter hurdles. I bent down to get into my starting stance, and I noticed that not all the girls were wearing track spikes. I was caught by surprise. 2 out of the 4 girls were just wearing running shoes. I thought to myself, track spikes are so much better than running shoes. Those are totally going to slow them down, especially running headfirst into this wind. However, both of the girls looked athletic. One girl was from Kelly. She was tall with long legs and wore her long brown hair in a ponytail. The other girl was from Scott County. She had a similar figure as the girl from Kelly, but was a little shorter and also wore her about shoulder-length blonde hair in a ponytail. I tried not to stare too much and said, "Good luck, ladies," to all the girls who were on the starting line with me. Boom! The gun went off, and so did we. The wind wasn't as bad as I imagined it would be. I ran my race to the very end, only focusing on me. I finished first and watched the girls from Kelly and Scott County as they finished second to last and then last. I go to Crystal City High School, and if you didn't know, our track is concrete, so I know what it feels like to run on a track with just running shoes. It sucks, let me tell you. To me, my feet feel heavier, and I have a harder time running on my toes to reach my max speed for the period of time I need to. This is another reason why I love running at track meets. The red turf track feels so fresh, rubbery, and even a little bouncy. Running on it while wearing spikes, I feel faster, and everything feels much lighter and so much easier than it is in running shoes. I couldn't imagine hurdling or even running in a meet wearing running shoes. These are track spikes. As you can see, they're made to fit like a glove. They're not supposed to be too big, but they're supposed to be just the right size where you have a little bit of room to move. And on the bottom, those are where the spikes go in. 2 of mine fell out because I've been running in them a lot, but this is what they look like. For instance, sprinting is a highly explosive sport requiring great explosive power. Because of this, it puts great stress on your feet, resulting in shoes having a great impact on sprinting. This makes footwear crucial to an athlete's performance. So what is the best type of shoe to wear in competitive sprinting? Track spikes or running shoes? When it comes to being a sprinter running track, athletes want the lightest shoe they can find, but also something that will support their feet while giving them comfort. Spikes are hands down the best lightweight, successful running shoe made for sprinters. In addition, a study conducted by an education-first professor named Adrian Vallejos compared track spikes to running shoes. Vallejos states that the performance of sprint races is improved when using spikes. 1/3 of the improvement is due to the weight difference, and the rest of the improvement is due to the cleats effect. Vallejos also said that 2 variables were discovered to increase the improvement while running in spikes. The increase of the stiffness of the sneaker and increasing of the traction, which is not found in normal running shoes, therefore decreasing the speed of the one wearing running shoes. In another academic study by Young Yang, it discusses the influence on the different materials shoes are made out of and how they have an effect on athletes' sprint speed. Zhang's results show that athletes will run faster with greater spike friction, better dampening effects of the sole, and better vamp breathability than running shoes. I have personally experienced this myself. At track practice, I run in my running shoes. I noticed after I finished sprinting, my feet almost felt like they're on fire. When it comes to sprinting and meets in my track spikes, I don't ever feel like my feet are hot. However, some runners do not like the feel of spikes and would rather compete in running shoes. In a professional guide to wearing running spikes, it states, running on spikes can be somewhat uncomfortable for runners who are not used to wearing running spikes. For these runners, a period of adjustment may be required until the runner is able to adapt to wearing the spikes and becoming more comfortable doing so. In contrast, athletes never wear their running spikes for long periods of time. They usually put them on right before their race, then take them off right after, making initial discomfort worth the increase in performance. So what are running shoes? Running shoes are lightweight shoes cushioned specifically in the forefoot and heel to absorb about 4 times your body weight per step. As you can see, these are my running shoes I run in at practice. The heel, there's a lot of support there. It's a much heavier shoe because of the support it offers. So these are what these look like. Running in running shoes is a more stable and efficient way to protect a runner from injury rather than running spikes, which offer minimal support. Carl Gruber, a marathon runner, author, and law of attraction life coach, claims that running shoes may provide more benefits for use, such as more cushioning and stability, but also has a downside for racing because of its heavier weight and bulkiness. Running shoes also aren't known for absorbing sweat or their breathability. During exercise, athletes tend to sweat at the soles of their feet. Because of this, the athlete's running speed will be affected under these circumstances. Although running shoes provide more support and stability, despite these negatives, competing in track spikes will lead to victory. To get a personal opinion from someone highly experienced, I conducted an interview with Emma Shirley, a current member of my track team. She has been to a state track and field meet for 3 years in a row. If anyone knows anything about competing in track spikes, it's Emma Shirley. I asked Emma, what do you prefer, track spikes or running shoes? Emma said, track spikes all the way. Track spikes play a huge role in making you faster. Because of the ability they give you to claw the ground, it's easier to get moving faster because of the grip the spikes offer. Not only that, but they are extremely light on your feet. Hope, another sprinter on my track team, always ran in running shoes. At practice one day, I went up to her and asked, are you going to get spikes to compete in the meets with? Hope said, no, I have never worn them before, and I'm nervous it would be weird and uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to try something new. Then I gave her my testimony on how competing in track spikes only set me on a path for success. The day of one of our mid-season track meets, I saw Hope sitting on the field taking her running shoes off and pulling out a brand new pair of bright pink Nike track spikes. Come to find out, at the meet, Hope had finally beat her personal record in her event. She came up to me after her race and said, that was absolutely amazing. It felt like I was running with just socks on, and it felt so good. I just smiled and said, told you so. One of our most recent track meets that took place in Potosi, Missouri, resulted in the most success I have ever had. I broke my personal record with a time of 16.37 seconds. I finished first, and I finally beat one of my biggest rivals from Jefferson R7 High School. I will never forget the feeling I had racing that day. It felt as if I was just gliding over the hurdles as if they weren't even there. If I didn't have my track spikes, things would have been completely different. Overall, track spikes are the best shoe to compete in during competition. Once you experience wings on your feet, you will never want to go back.